Guys, welcome on in Three Bold Takes. As you can see, it's only two of us. Quinn was unable to join us today, but we're continuing our week one preview and predictions. We're going to start on the Saturday slate. We've already done Thursday and Friday. In this video, we're going to do Saturday all the way until Monday. So we got a lot of games to cover. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we're going to start it off with the biggest matchup, which
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest matchup of the
Mhm.
weekend, of week one, you name it, whatever.
Yep.
11 o'clock on Fox, we have Texas at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 1.5 point favorite at home. Chase, let's break it down.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. You're mentioning the biggest game of this could be the biggest game of the year at some point. We could be looking back at this game about like, hey, this is why this team is here in the college football playoffs. This is why they didn't make this or bada bing, bada bing. That's how it could end. And mind you, let's call it what it is. This is a college football playoff, a semifinal rematch. Ohio State took the win, 28-14 over Quinn Ewers and the Longhorns last season. You know what? In today's age of college football, I'll say it. I don't think it's a rematch at all. Yes, they played last year, whatever. These aren't the same teams at all. Will Howard was the national champion quarterback there. Quinn Ewers was at Texas, and a lot of those guys are gone. Isaiah Bond's gone. All these different guys. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. The whole litter is gone from this game. You bring in transfer portal people, you bring in different guys. This is a whole new game. What's really, really, really fun about this game is that this is brand new, first time starting quarterbacks on both ends. You got Arch Manning, who gets I believe, his first ever start, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I know he got playing time a bunch last year. I'm not sure if he got an official
I think
start.
he started one game due to injury, but
Okay, I was about to say I haven't. I'm not up to date on my. Did Arch Manning start this game? Did Arch Manning not start this game? Let me see, real quick stats. Two attempts, whatever. This is rushing. Oh gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, guys.
hey,
Oh
this is what happens.
we're on the fly. I can't tell. Whatever. Anyway, he did play in that Ohio State loss. It looks like he had a carry for 8 yards. But anyway, so you got Arch Manning on that side. Then you got Julian Sayin, guys. Do we remember that name? The Alabama commit that before he ever got to Tuscaloosa decided to switch, and I think he like technically transferred through the transfer portal to Ohio State. Now he gets the official start. I actually love that for them. I think he can because I think he's still a redshirt freshman or something. So he can get a chance at like 3-4 years starting, which is going to be really cool instead of a revolving quarterback carousel over there. This will be a blowout, I think. And I don't think it's not going to be anywhere close. It's not going to be a neck and neck battle. I'm going fully Texas here. I think Texas has what it needs in the pocket. Ohio State lost a lot last season. Now Texas did too. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think Texas brings back a lot more defensively than Ohio State does. Ohio State as well, they just had it all last season. They had the running backs, they had the receivers, but they lost a lot of that production offensively. They do return Jeremiah Smith, who's going to be a Heisman contender, I believe, probably a chance at a real wide receiver winning the Heisman since Devontae Smith. And I think they're going to do a great job. I think Arch is more poised. I think Arch is ready more so than Julian Sayin. I think that's the big kicker. I think the really big thing is that you're about to see Sarkisian be able to scheme up plays for Arch that maybe Quinn Ewers was a little more limited to. Wasn't able to absolutely execute that like Arch could. And that's why you always felt that budding like, man, why isn't Arch starting? Why isn't the Manning kid starting? Why isn't because Quinn Ewers, don't get me wrong, is a great quarterback, really good quarterback, very solid, can be accurate when he wants to be, and can really place the ball. But at some points he's also making some mistakes. It's like Arch has sat there. He's learned the system. He knows it down in front. He's ready to go. He's spent 2 years there. I think he's going to be able to do it, and I think do it well. I think they're going to be able to execute. Now, they are in the shoe, which makes it a little different, but I think this is to the level of what the Texas-Michigan game was last season, where Texas just absolutely went in and throttled Michigan, or I think Michigan came to – no, at Michigan. 31-12. I think it was like 31-3 or something like that for a portion of the game. So it wasn't close. I think that's what it's going to be again. I'm feeling like a 35-14 victory, a 38-20 kind of deal. And I think it's, by the third quarter that Texas has won this game. I'm going full Texas. Love what Ohio State has. I'm really excited for Julian Sand. And I really do think they have an opportunity to repeat the national championship. But I think in week one, Texas gets the best of them.
Yeah, this is obviously a matchup of epic proportions. Like this is one of the games that's going to be looked at when you talk about making the college football playoff and how you played in your non-conference games. And it honestly sucks for the loser because it is week one, and we know that teams get better over the course of the season. Um, Arch Manning did start 2 games last year. So he does have that going for him. And although I think Ohio State has better weapons on the outside to help Julian, I think that Arch is a much better quarterback. Now, granted, I can stick my foot in my mouth in 2 weeks when Julian puts up 600 yards a game. But considering that nobody has seen this man play in college, you can't tell me I'm wrong in saying that. So I'm going to go Texas as well, to be able to go up and get the win in Columbus. It's going to be an awesome matchup. We're going to be watching it. All of America is going to be watching it. It's one of those games that you look forward to in week one in non-conference games. And this is what Greg Sankey and the SEC is wanting moving forward, adding a ninth conference game, but also adding a requirement for an elevated opponent that's non-conference. This is what he's talking about. These are the type of matchups that make your conference look better. These are the type of matchups that the fans want to see, the schools want to see, the players want. So super excited that we get it in week one. So I'm going Texas as well.
Yeah, and let's just put it what it is. This rakes in money too, TV money,
Yeah.
revenue That's why the SEC is doing that. But man, what a game to start the year out at! 1-3 to go. It's going to be really fun to watch. Brady, the next one I want to choose personally is going to be the Syracuse Orange against the Tennessee Volunteers. I'm actually really stoked about this one. It's an Aflac kickoff game. Let me see where it's at real quick. I got to scroll a little bit. Sorry. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. So Syracuse has got to travel a little bit farther, but it's 11 a.m. on August 30th. The under is 54.5 currently, and Tennessee is favored by 14.
I just got to say this, right? Talk about a game of orange. I mean, this is
It's
this is
ugly.
just if you hate the color orange, this is not the game for you.
And let me ask, do you pull out like the smoky grays or the blacks if you're Tennessee here?
I think you do personally.
You might have.
I like the black. I like the gray as well. Anything but that god awful orange. But that's beside the point. Okay, you got 2 orange teams playing. Of course, we got to talk about it. Tennessee a 13.5 point favorite. Like I know the whole Nico situation, that whole fiasco, debacle, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Syracuse had its own quarterback change as well. Obviously, Kyle McCord transferred in last year. He is now gone. I think Syracuse offensively is going to take a huge step back in the wrong direction. Even though the quarterback situation at Tennessee is kind of up in the air when it comes to production and when it comes to that Heisman ability, um, I still think Tennessee gets it done here. I still think their defense is going to be really good. Their defensive line last year is what really surprised me. I think that's going to continue into this year. I think it's going to be a snooze fest in the first quarter as both of these teams kind of start getting going for the year. But I do like Tennessee to win. I don't think they cover though. I like Syracuse on the 13.5. I just think there's too many new pieces on the Tennessee offensive side of the ball, but I really, really, really like Tennessee's defense in this matchup. I would also take the under as well.
Yeah, there's that's just what sucks about some of this college football stuff today is just the climate that we're in. You just have so many question marks going into the season because of the revolving transfer portal, bringing guys in and out. And honestly, I think Tennessee got the worst end of the deal, only getting Aguilar or whatever his name is from UCLA, like just trading quarterbacks. I'm not super excited about it. I think he's going to be solid, but I don't think he's going to be anything like the potential Nico had. I know Nico didn't show it last year, but he was young. He was like 19, 20 years old. He still had a chance to grow into the offense that he had. So, and I think he also lacked some playmakers last year. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Neutral site game. I think Syracuse is going to play well. I love Fran Brown. My goodness, from the Dabo Sweeney Clemson tree, Fran Brown can coach. He wakes me up on a Saturday morning, and I'm ready to run through a brick wall. I want to play for the freaking Orange. This is a freaking football school now because of Fran Brown. I think he's done exceptional job. I think he did a really good job last year of just like placing McCord in there and allowing him to play and getting some wins out of it. You know, Syracuse is not known to win ball games at all. Like they went 6-7 the year before, played in a bowl game and lost 45-0 to South Florida. And then this past year, they end up going 10-3, win their bowl game by 17. They beat Miami to end the year as well. The only loss that they had that was substantial was Pittsburgh. They got ran out of the stadium there. But the other ones were one-score games. They had a misstep against Stanford. That team almost was an 11-win team, and we could have been talking about, oh my gosh, could Syracuse make the college football playoff? I think this is another season that they're going to do it, and I think it's more so because Fran Brown is building a culture that will stand more so than sitting on players that will help him win. And I think that's what some coaches mess up at, and I'll call him out. Mike Norvell at Florida State sits on players that will help him win. I'll tell you that. He's like, okay, I'm going to go to the transfer portal. I'm going to get this kid because he can help me win. Look at DJU. Look at their 2-10 season last year. But Fran Brown, I think, sets up his culture well, and he's doing it correctly. Kind of like Dan Campbell with the Lions. You know, it's not pretty at first, and it's a slow build, but I think Fran Brown will get them there. I think it's going to be a lot closer than they think. I'm going to go Tennessee as well. I'm going to say just by 3, though. I think it's going to be a very, very close game in a neutral site. First week of the season is going to be tough.
Wow. Moving right along here, another 11 o'clock game. We've got Northwestern and Tulane. Tulane is hosting Northwestern here. Tulane is a 6-point favorite at home. The over-under at 46.5. Obviously, we know Northwestern. They had the whole scandal a couple years ago, so they're still trying to come back from that. They went 4-8 last year. Their only wins in conference play was against Maryland and Purdue, which were the only two teams that were worse than them in the Big Ten. So should be an interesting matchup. Chase, what do you like?
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, Tulane lost their quarterback to the transfer portal, and I believe to what's his face to Duke, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Daria Mensa. It wasn't. He was pretty solid for him last year. But I think the other big thing is like John Sumrall. Man, John Sumrall, guy from Troy. We know him pretty well because he's from the state of Alabama. Has worked up the coaching tree a lot. Finished 9-5. Was that his first season last year? It wasn't his first season.
I think it was his first
I
season.
believe, which is crazy. 9-5. You didn't do so hot in the bowl game against Florida, and you kind of tailed off at the end of the season. But for a streak there, you put up 71 on UAB. You've been playing pretty well. I love what Tulane does. Tulane has become that like mid-modern Boise State for this new generation. They've become a very, very strong group of 5 and in a very strong conference as well. If Quentin was on here, he'd be telling us about how the American is this and that, and he'd be so correct. And that's what I'm really excited about watching Tulane, and then with Northwestern as well. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of Northwestern football last year. That's probably for a reason. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. They finished 4-8. They got drummed a lot. They had an overtime win against Purdue.
It's tough.
They had a double OT loss to Duke. Guys, it's just there's a game where their end score was 5. Like Northwestern wasn't playing football last year. I'm going to take Tulane in this one.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Tulane as well. They're actually my group of 5 pick to make the playoffs is Tulane. Love what they did last year, and year 2 under a new head coach is typically when you see the biggest jump, right? Like you can get a big jump in year one, but really it's going to be year two and year three. And this is where I think Tulane has a chance to actually make the playoffs. Like you said, 9-5 last year, whatever, right? Year one, they had some great moments, they had some bad moments. Northwestern was nothing but bad moments last year, but again, they're still trying to recover from what happened to them a few years ago. Um, but Tulane, man, what a game. Hosting Northwestern is an unreal game for them. I'm sure when they scheduled this, it was a long time ago, 5, 6 years ago. They were anticipating Northwestern to be what I guess you would think a Big Ten team would be, which is a little bit better than what they are. But I do like Tulane to win this game. I think they cover the spread as well. I think this is a 10-plus win for Tulane here at home versus Northwestern.
Yeah, Freddie. Yeah. I think Tulane's just going to be it. It's kind of bold that you're already putting your group of 5 team out there, champion out there, because, we haven't even talked the playoffs yet. So I'm going to pick the next one, and I'm just going down this list, Freddie. And we're having a lot of fun. We're going back and forth. We got some banter going. What teams do we pick? What teams do we pick? Do I pick Penn State? No, they're probably going to lose to Nevada. Do I pick Duquesne at Pittsburgh? No. Do I pick Toledo, Kentucky? No. How about just a state of the art Old Dominion at Indy? No, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about some Alabama at Florida State. Doak Campbell Stadium, Tallahassee, Florida. Alabama's favored by 13.5. The over under is 50.5, Freddie. And I know we're pretty excited to talk about this. Some Alabama fans ourselves. Go ahead, Freddie.
Yeah, so obviously, I think a lot of the people listening have already heard a lot of talk about this game, so I'm not really going to go too big and too into detail about offensive line versus defensive line, Ty Simpson's first year as a starter, blah 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 blah. Right. What I want to focus on, I think Alabama's going to win the game, but I think this game is going to decide how Florida State fans feel about Mike Norvell.
Okay.
If Florida State shows up to their home field and gets blown out by Alabama, I think fire him. I legit I think that's cause for firing. However, he did sign an extension a couple years ago, so his buyout is through the roof now. Not worth it. Whatever. For a team that went 2-10 last year, which I want to say this, it really sucks that Florida State went 2-10 last year because this game could be so much bigger than what it is, right? For Alabama, this is your make or break season, I think, under Kalen DeBoer. And I know that's early to say, but it is year 2, right? You got the 1 year post Saban to get everything together. Now he's got his offensive coordinator. He's got his guy, right? He has made the decision to go with Ty Simpson. He himself has made this decision. This is the guy that he wants. This is the offensive coordinator he wants. This is the scheme that he's going to go with. And I think Alabama goes in there, and I don't think they play well in the first quarter. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say I think Florida State has the lead at the end of the first quarter. But then that's when Alabama is really going to hone in and actually end up winning this game by about 10 points. I don't think they cover the spread. It's a tough place to play, especially in week 1 when Florida State is not 2-10, right? These fans are going to come in there and they're going to be ready for this new season. They're going to be ready for a top 10 upset potentially. But I like Alabama. I like Ty Simpson. I like their playmakers too. Ryan Williams, obviously. They got Isaiah Horton in the transfer portal from Miami, a big 6'4" receiver. So I really like the weapons that they have. I think that this year's Alabama team is going to be a lot different from last year. It's going to be a team that can beat you throwing the ball, but they will beat you running the ball. I think that is going to be the difference in this year's team. So give me Alabama to win, but not cover the spread.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really fun. You got to also mention just the bad blood that's been going on over the summer. Tommy Castellanos from Florida State, the Boston College quarterback transfer, who got benched last year by Bill O'Brien, by the way, has just been on a generational run, running his mouth about what they're going to do to Alabama, how they're going to do it, and just a full-fledged that Florida State's going to beat Alabama. Probably the most confidence I've seen from a 2-win team, which one of those wins is Charleston Southern, that I've ever seen in my life. But let's just take a quick trip down memory lane in the history lessons Alabama can give most teams, most marquee teams. If we take it back to 2012, in their season opener, they played number 8 Michigan, 41-14 Alabama. 2015, number 20 Wisconsin, 35-17. How about 2016, number 20 USC? You remember that one, right? USC came out barking like dogs, 52-6 in that one. Let's take it to 2021. How about number 14 Miami, 44-13 was the score there. That one's a lot of fun as well, right? You got Middle Tennessee, a couple other ones, but Alabama typically opens with a marquee team, at least of the Power 4 to 5 reverence, and usually does well. Usually does holds it on. Let's take it back to 2017. Jalen Hurts was the quarterback of that game. I remember that one. Florida State was the opening game, 24-7, and that did not feel like a 24-7 game because of how in control Alabama was. Alabama's going to win this game. And I like exactly what you said about him picking Ty Simpson. I think DeBoer has picked Ty Simpson. And if you watch the mechanics of Simpson and how he plays the game, it is a lot like Penix from Washington. It's the type of quarterback he wants. The reason, hey, Chase, why did he play Milroe? He played Milroe because of the team chemistry that was. And if you took out Milroe for no good reason, but hey, you're not good enough, it ruins the team chemistry and what you're building. And so he's trying to earn his keep with the players. Now it's his team. It's his season. He's got his players. And he's even got the 5-star Keelan Russell everybody was raving about. But Ty Simpson's the guy. He's going to be the guy. And I think you're going to see this is probably exactly how the scheme's supposed to be run this season. You're going to see the ball thrown everywhere. And Florida State's going to have to be the first victim. And I hate it for them. And it's going to be – it's not going to be a cute, Alabama won 24-13. Wow. No, it's going to be probably a 45 to a good 17, 45-21. They might get a late touchdown, 45-28, something of the nature. But it's not going to be pretty. Florida State might have something to hang their hat on. Well, we threw for 252 yards, and wow, that midget can run. And maybe he can. Congrats. But you're not going to be any good. Mike Norvell, again, I don't have much faith, but if he loses or if he doesn't win more than 6 games this season, I'm on the same boat with you, Freddie. I think it's time to go. So I'm taking Alabama in this one. And I'm going to guess Quinn would do the same.
Also, Kalen DeBoer is 9-1 in season openers as a head coach. So that's also a stat that is going in favor of Alabama and Kalen DeBoer. You actually skipped a game that I want to go back and talk about really quick. It's going to be quick. Trust me. It's going to be quick.
I love it.
11:45 a.m. SEC Network. Toledo at Kentucky. Kentucky is a 7.5-point favorite against Toledo. Quinn.
Wow. I mean,
what do you think Quinn would say right now?
He would take the action in this one. I'll tell you what. Quinn would be all over some action right now. And I wouldn't be mad at Quinn for it. I would look at him a little discombobulated. English word of the week. Everybody look it up. I would look at him a little discombobulated, but then I'd be like, wow, Toledo beat Pittsburgh 48-46 in a bowl game, 6 overtimes. Maybe they're made for the moment. Maybe they are. Zach Calzada just got named the Kentucky starter today. He's a 7th year who played at Incarnate Word, Auburn, and Texas A&M. Do I like a guy that sounds like a type of stuffed pizza, like the Calzada? I'm not so sure. I don't like what Kentucky's been doing lately. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I am feeling it right now. Let's get crazy. Let's get swifty. I'm going Toledo in this one, mainly because I think Toledo is a really solid team. I think they have a solid outline, but I think they can also hang. Kentucky, they're going to score you 10 to 24 points and hope that they can hold on to win. They're just one of those teams that always plays like prevent defense on every part on the special teams, on offense. We're just going to keep everything in front of us and just hope nobody scores. And something always goes awry with Kentucky. So they're going to have a decent defense, but let's get weird. Kentucky will probably win this game, but I'll throw it at Toledo.
Yeah, I think Kentucky's going to win too. However, I did just kind of want to mention, obviously, the Calzada was named the starter. It's the reason why I want to talk about him today. It's big news out of Kentucky. I think Kentucky's going to pull off an upset this year against a team they definitely should not win. Um, but other than that, I think it's going to be another abysmal season for Kentucky. But I think you get a win against Toledo. Now, listen, if you're a Kentucky fan, obviously the spread is showing this, but don't sleep on Toledo. Toledo is a
Yeah.
very scrappy team. They're a team that wants to come in and beat an SEC team. You know how huge that would be for Toledo in week 1 to beat an SEC team? Yeah, it's Kentucky. Yeah, it's the worst team, one of 3 worst teams in the but you beat an SEC team. Okay, that is huge for the program. So Toledo's going to come in fired up. But I just don't think they have what it takes to beat Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of saying. I'm getting a little weird on it. I'm doing it in my great remembrance of my friend Quinn. That's what I'm doing it
Yeah.
for. I know he loves some action. I think Kentucky gets it done, but hey, come on. Maybe some action will get weird. If they're playing on Tuesday night, put all your money on Toledo and the Mac Nation. That's all I'll say. Um, I'll continue on. We talked Alabama, Florida State. There's a lot of just definitely week 1 opening games. South Dakota, Iowa State, Holy Cross, Northern Illinois, Montana State, Oregon, Alabama A&M, Arkansas, U Albany at Iowa. Take the under. Whatever it is, take the under. UTSA at Texas A&M would be better, but UTSA has kind of fallen off last few years. North Alabama at Western Kentucky, a pretty solid one I've heard. Watch out for the Lions. They like to roar on Saturdays, I'll tell you what. But I'm going to make my way all the way down to the 6:30 ABC game. Number 9, LSU at number 4, Clemson, Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson's a 4-point favorite, 57.5 over under. What do we have for this one? Can Dabo take them back? No, I'm sorry. Let me stop there. Clemson's ranked number 4 in the preseason poll. When have they been a top 5 team since Trevor Lawrence and them have left? When have they been? When have you said, "Yep, them"? Like, okay, wow.
Well, I tell you what, it's real this year. Cade Klubnik is up there on everybody's Heisman poll preseason. They have one of the most talented returning rosters in all of college football from last year to this year, according to the advanced analytics that take into account production as well as overall like high school grade and things like that. So they are one of the most talented teams in the country returning in Clemson. And you do get an LSU team at home that, let's be honest, man, LSU at 9, they're beginning to be like USC. Chase, you
Come
hate
on.
how USC is always ranked preseason, whatever. They're always propped up. They're not this year.
Nope.
But you hate how that's what happens. That's LSU now. Listen, Brian Kelly cannot win the big games, right? Obviously he beat Alabama in year 1. That's a big game, right? But he has struggled throughout his entire career. And not only has he struggled throughout his entire career at big games, what about week 1 games? All right. He is terrible, especially when he's been at LSU. He has not won a week 1 game at LSU, right? And now you got to travel to Death Valley, the other Death Valley that's not you, but the other one that's in South Carolina, to play a top 5 Clemson team that has one of the best rosters in all of college football and a Heisman contender at quarterback. Give me LSU to win this game. I'm going off the walls here. A lot of people are hammering Clemson on this game, simply because of Cade Klubnik, simply because of all the returning production from last year, and also not in LSU's favor, the whole Brian Kelly thing, not being able to win in week 1. I'm falling into the hype here with LSU. I don't think LSU is going to be a top 10 team at the end of the year, but I like LSU to win this game. I don't know why. I honestly,
I don't
If you
either.
ask me tomorrow, I'm picking Clemson. But for some reason, I'm going LSU right here, right now in this top 10 matchup on ABC.
Well, guys, if you go to the ESPN page online and you go to LSU's homepage on there or whatnot, it says first in the SEC. It's probably because they haven't played any games in the SEC. And that's probably the last time you'll ever see that for LSU this season. LSU is just not a good team. Haven't been a good team. He hasn't been a good team. LSU has not won an opening football game of a season since 2019. What they do in 2019? Oh, won the national championship. But mind you, even so, since Brian Kelly's been there, it's been 24-23 to Florida State loss, 45-24 Florida State loss, and then last season 27-20 loss against USC. It's just not been good. Now they do have Nussmeier back. That's good. Now there was a little bit of a rumor though coming out of camp that he potentially tore a ligament in his knee. They talked ACL potentially. I've heard other ones like MCL or something. I'm not sure his full availability. I think it would have already come out by now that he tore something. So I think he should be ready to go. But at the end of the day, I absolutely hate this game. I hate it because it is both teams that I think don't deserve any recognition inside the top 15. And we gave both of them top 10 spots, mind you. Like, this is just like, what is that Twitter account? The Sickos Committee or whatever. That's what one of these games are. It's just nasty. Just absolute. What has Dabo Swinney done since 2020? What has Brian Kelly done in any part of his career? Both of them are about the same thing. Nothing. And it just burns me a new one that we're sitting here on week one talking about a top 10 matchup. This is the equivalent of Florida State playing Florida State in week one last year. This is what this is. And it just pisses because somebody has to win this game. That's what really irks me. Clemson was a decent team last year. LSU wasn't really. I mean, they beat the teams they needed to. That was about it. But Clemson, let me get to their schedule just real quick. I've always been a faithful guy of Cade Klubnik. I've always thought he's going to be a really good quarterback. He's just never really produced. Lost to Georgia pretty big, lost to Louisville for some reason, and lost to South Carolina. You beat SMU at the end of the season. You lost to Texas in the college football playoffs in the first round, but you didn't play anybody else big. You didn't get to play Miami. You didn't get to play.
I wish we could have got that game last year.
Yeah, you didn't get Miami with Cam Ward. Like, well, you didn't beat anybody significant. You beat up Pittsburgh by 4. You beat Wake Forest. You beat Florida State by 16. Oh my gosh, Stanford too. Wow, I'm riveting. They're top 4. So somebody's got to win. I'm going Clemson, because somebody has to win, and just Brian Kelly is just, I can't stand him. I don't think he deserves the job. I don't think he deserves the job at all. And so I've always been faithful about, man, I hope Dabo reaches the top again. I do. I've always been, man, Dabo's a good coach. He can do it. He can build the team. We've seen him build the teams, and now it's just been, there's just no faith because we keep relying on what he did from 2015 to 2020. It's just not there anymore, you know? So I'm going to take Clemson. Hopefully Dabo can do it again, but somebody's got to win, and this is going to be an ugly one. It's going to be like 21-18. I don't know. There's going to be like 4 safeties. I don't know. Something weird's going to happen. It's going to be nasty. So I'll take Clemson in this one.
I would think that Quinn would take LSU, but I don't know.
This is a weird one.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I want to go to a matchup that's 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. Cal and Oregon State. Cal at Oregon State. Oregon State's a 2-point favorite. This is an interesting matchup. Can we get Oregon State in a Power 4 team or a Power 4 conference again?
Come on.
I mean, I feel bad. The ACC added Stanford and Cal, and did not add Oregon State. You can tell me it's to boost their academic numbers. I don't like it. What do you think about this? A very interesting matchup, Chase. Who do you like in this one?
Oh, who do I like? Is there an option for neither? 6 and 7 for Cal last season. You lose to Florida State, their only Power 5 win for Florida State last season. What are you doing, Golden Baron? What are you doing? But then you also get Oregon State, they were a solid team. Let me give you that. They were a solid team. They weren't great by any measure, but they weren't bad. But they also didn't play a hard schedule. Well, they were kind of bad. Sorry, guys. 5-7. I kind of lied. But oh gosh, I can't believe you chose this game. Oh. Mm, 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 mm. Mhm. We're gonna call this one Oregon State and have a day. That's what we're gonna do.
There we go, baby.
Go Beavers, go Beavers. That one was horrible, Freddie. I can't believe you made me choose that. If you're from Oregon, I've heard you guys are really weird. I'm sorry, but also you support the Beavers. It's just a rough life for you guys up there. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, they got the Beavers and the Ducks. You know, not really too much to choose from up there.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chase. I think Oregon State's going to win the game as well. Cal, what are you doing? You lose to Florida State. Like that's got to be the most embarrassing thing of all of last year was that Cal got beat by Florida State. That's all I'm going to say. Give me Oregon State to win. I love the Beavers. On NCAA football, I think it was 12 on the PSP. I would always do a Road to Glory, and I'd be a running back, and I'd go to Oregon State every year. Don't know why, but I did. So give me Oregon State.
Okay, so I won't put you through that kind of torture that you just did me. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, nothing. I mean, a fun one I think on the Saturday slate we could close it out with could be Hawaii and Arizona. I think that could be a fun one. Mainly because actually this one could be rough. Okay, let me preface this, guys. If they are putting a football game out on HBO Max, there's probably a reason.
And TNT, I've never seen a football game on TNT.
Yeah. We joked several days ago about sports betting. About if you're betting on these games, call the number. If you're betting on a game that's on HBO Max, call the number immediately. But we're going to talk Hawaii, Arizona anyway, because we just watched Hawaii walk it off against Stanford. Probably the two worst teams that are going to be in college football this season. Stanford, you can't get any worse than that. Hawaii has not been a very good team for a very long time. 5-7 last year in the Mountain West Conference. I think this one's going to be really fun, though. Arizona is a very different team. We talked about them last year being a very different team. Losing Jeff Fish, Jed Fish, my bad.
Yeah, Jed Fish.
Jed Fish, and then you lost all your people. They ended up 4-8 last year. So you just saw the culture change there. And I'll leave you. I actually did not give you anything about the game, did I, Freddie? I'm so sorry. Okay. We're just all over the world right now. So it's Hawaii. It's 8:30. Again, like we mentioned, it's HBO, TNT, August 30th, 9:30 p.m. Man, if you missed the Pac-12 after dark, it's not far from you. Just look within. 56.5 is the over/under, and 14.5 is it for the Arizona Wildcats. Freddie.
Yeah, I'm going to Arizona to win this game. I think Hawaii, yes, they got a week 1 win or a week 0 win against Stanford, a walk-off field goal, which, by the way, great story from that kicker. He moved to the United States, learned how to kick on YouTube, and now he's the kicker for Hawaii and won the week 1 game against Stanford. Amazing story. Congratulations to that kid. That ends after 1 week. Arizona's going to win the game.
Yeah, they also can't remember. They got a true freshman quarterback out there, 5'10", 180, Micah Alejado, that played off 1 foot. If he's healthy, man, he played Look, left-handed. He's Hawaiian.
No, you're not.
He wears 12, not 13. He look a little similar at times, but I like the poise. I like the poise the kid brought. I really thought he did pretty well on drives. He got injured, and so he's kind of hobbling at points, but he still put his body out there. I hope he is healthy for this next game. But Alejado, I think, did a really good job of a freshman running a team down a field to get in for a game-winning, a walk-off field goal, I think that's pretty significant to say that this kid has a set to him, and it's an iron set. I'll tell you that right now. Kid played a really good game. Overall, it's like you can't ask for much more from the kid than that in the first game of the season against a Power 5. It wasn't an Idaho State. It was a Power 4 to 5 team, if you want to still call Stanford that. Well, yeah, they're an ACC. My bad. 210 yards, 39 attempts. He's 69% completion percentage, no interceptions, so no turnovers from the kid. 2 touch. I mean, you can't ask for much more from a freshman like that on one leg for an extent of the game. I'm going Hawaii in this game because I messed up and I didn't pick Hawaii against Stanford.
What?
Arizona's on the same level as Hawaii right now. Arizona's not any better. They're still reeling. They're still trying to figure out who they are and their identity. I'm going to go Hawaii. I've seen Hawaii perform, and if the kid is healthy, I think they're going to do really fun things this season. I don't think it's going to be anything super significant. I don't think we're talking about a top 25 Hawaii team at any point in the year, but I think it'll be really fun to watch them against Arizona. So I'm going to take Hawaii in this one.
Do you have HBO Max?
I do actually. I'll probably watch it. Actually,
there you go.
Too late for me. I'll probably. But I'll tell you this right now: Quinn would look at me like, and he would definitely pick Arizona. So I know Quinn would probably pick Arizona in this one after he called me stupid. So,
guys, we're going to move on to the 10 p.m. nightcap, if you will. Chase, you mentioned Pac-12 After Dark a second ago. This is a real throwback to Pac-12 After Dark here. We have Utah and UCLA. Now, Utah is coming in as a 6-point favorite on the road. 10 o'clock game at Fox is unreal. Obviously, UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl, so that is where the game is being held. Chase, what do you got here?
if this was a season ago, Freddie, I'll tell you this. If this was a season ago, we'd have been sitting here like, they are on the rise. They are on the rise. And why we'd say that is because Cam Rising was projected to be back in a Utah Utes uniform. Sadly, didn't go the way they wanted to last year. They did start 4-0. They did start 4-0, beat out Oklahoma State for that fourth game, that fourth win. But if you didn't know, Utah ended the season 5-7. Cam Rising had more injuries to deal with, which eventually led him to medically retire. I think he was granted another year of eligibility this year, but he decided to retire.
He was, yes.
Okay, I thought so. So Utah last year, I think, was a sad team because you had a team that we all thought was going to win the Big 12. And instead was one of the worst Big 12 teams that could have been. And then you're also talking about a UCLA team that joined the Big 10, and they had one win in the first 6 weeks, and it was against Hawaii by 3. I can't say this is one of the worst games I've picked. I'm going to ride with my Utes, though, just because usually they have a really solid defense. Usually they have things together. Maybe they'll find it this year and just had to get Cam Rising out of the locker room to kind of just focus on themselves instead of hoping for a savior.
Yeah, coming into this game, obviously both teams are going to debut new transfer quarterbacks. Obviously, with UCLA, you have Nico, and then with Utah, it's Devon Dampier from New Mexico. So it's going to be interesting to see both of these quarterbacks in this game. Oddly enough, both teams last year had really good defenses. UCLA, I think, was top 10 nationally in run defense, which if you look at, obviously how their season turned out, you wouldn't have really thought that. However, that is true. I'm going to ride with the more veteran coach here and Kyle Whittingham and the Utah Utes as well. Deshaun Foster's in his second year at UCLA. Still going to take him another year probably to get things moving in the way that he wants it to. But this is a fun game. I don't know what you mean. Like, I think this is a fun game here.
Yeah.
Dude, Pac-12 After Dark used to be amazing. Why can this game not be that?
Pac-12 After Dark used to be really fun because of the highlights and how much scoring there was, and you wouldn't know until you hopped onto the ESPN at 9 a.m. the next day of just like, oh my gosh, look what happened last night. This game, UCLA beat Hawaii 16-13. to open the season.
Okay, all right. Okay. Now, that's fair. That's fair. But I think this is going to be a very good game and an interesting game. So I'm excited to watch it. It's one of the only games on at 10 o'clock at night that is worth watching. So yeah, I will be watching it. So we've got a sweep here. Both go in Utah in this matchup here. Chase, what's the next game you got?
Yeah, let's go to one that I'm pretty excited to talk about because I can just display the hatred I have for some football teams and their
Oh
coaches.
no.
We got a Sunday, August 31st matchup, 2 p.m. in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. South Carolina, number 13, hosting Virginia Tech down there in Atlanta. South Carolina's favored by 8. And the over-under is 52.5. Freddie, I know South Carolina is one of your favorite teams out there, so please do tell.
Yeah, no, I definitely do like South Carolina. I picked them in a college football 25 online dynasty and really enjoyed my time there. Again, that was 2025, not in 2026. Obviously, we know what happened last year with South Carolina, barely missing out on the playoffs. Um, Arguably should have been in the conversation a little bit more than what people had. But you do have Lenore Sellers coming back, right? Like he's going to be Heisman contender. You know, top 3 quarterback in the SEC is what it's looking like. Um, However, on the defensive side, South Carolina lost a lot of talent to the NFL. However, Dylan Stewart is going to have to step up. He's obviously the freshman from last year that's a phenom, so it's going to be fun to watch him play in his sophomore season. But when you look at Virginia Tech last year, and I don't know where this came from, but there was a lot of people talking about Virginia Tech being a dark horse in the ACC. And Chase, I know that you said that, but I'm going to defer to some other people because it started on a national level before you ever even said it.
I
And
know.
I don't know where that came from, but it seemed to die very, very quickly after a 6-7 overall record, 4-4 in the ACC. But they were very inexperienced last year. They've got a lot of returning production coming back from 2024, so I think they'll improve from 6-7. But I think South Carolina is going to win this game. I just think they're going to be able to outman Virginia Tech on the line of scrimmage. So give me South Carolina to win the season opener and get started right in 2025.
Yeah, I was hoping it wouldn't get brought up. Yes, I was on the train for a potential ACC championship bid from Virginia Tech. They just had a really easy schedule to start the season. Old Dominion, Kentucky. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. This is South Carolina. My bad. They had Vandy, Marshall, Old Dominion, Rutgers, Miami. Like they could have started 5-0 or 4-0, my apologies, heading into Miami. And then if they could have upset Miami, we could have been talking about them going down or they could have been hosting Clemson at a perfect record almost. After Miami, they had Stanford, Boston College, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse, all which could be winnable games for an above-average ACC team. However, they lost to Vandy in the opening game in overtime. They lost to Rutgers by 3, Miami by 4, lost to Syracuse in overtime, and then lost to Clemson by 10, just to name a few to start the season. And so, like, they were close. And it's kind of like one of those, like, how we've talked about Colorado and Dion, how we've talked about some of these other players is like, maybe it's like a couple first couple years hiccup. Like, hey, we messed up a couple times, but if we can get it right the next season, we could win a lot of these. It was coin toss games. Kyron Drones is back for the Hokies, which is a huge pickup. But I'm kind of with you here, Freddie. I think this is a South Carolina game as much as I hate to say it. I think they're going to start out 1-0 here. South Carolina is a solid team overall. I know they lose a couple of pieces to the draft, but I don't think Dylan Stewart is the guy in the SEC. That is the best defensive player, I think, in the SEC. You can make some arguments for a couple other players, but I think he is probably easily the best that is out there right now. And so I think South Carolina's going to take this one. I think Lenore Sellers is going to end up being a top 10, if not top 5 Heisman favorite by the end of the season, just because of his dual mobility. It's kind of got that quickness of Lamar, but also he has that body size of Cam and Tim Tebow. I think they're going to do really well. I'm going to take South Carolina in this one as well.
Sweet. Okay, so 2 sweeps so far on Moving on to the second game on Sunday at 6:30 matchup on ABC. We've got a top 10 matchup, believe it or not. Number 6 Notre Dame at number 10 Miami. My oh my oh my, what a good game we have in store Sunday night, Chase. I'm super excited about this one. I assume you are too, but I don't know. I'm curious to learn more.
Um, you know,
Don't disappoint me.
man, it's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a fun game. It's Notre Dame. It's Miami. Catholics versus convicts. What a great rivalry that is. If Quinn was on here, he put on his rivalry hat and tell us what like statue or whatever they're winning, their like cup that they're winning for this. But this has been an old rivalry, 80s, 90s, playing down in Miami. Notre Dame favored here, which is a big point. But Miami is quickly becoming Florida State. And I'm not saying record wise, I'm not saying anything like that, and talent, whatever. What I'm saying is Mario Cristobal is a great recruiter, one of the best recruiters there is in this state. He doesn't know how to always get the mustard out of that talent that he has, but he can recruit really well. And he's been able to do it since he was on the Alabama staff back in the mid 2010s. But he's been here lately relying a little bit on the transfer portal to be successful. I have no faith in Carson Beck. I don't think Carson Beck showed you anything in Georgia in a more run heavy offense that limited his throwing capabilities. And now you're going into more of a pass heavy offense, a pro style offense that's going to want to push the ball down the field a little more. You saw what Cam Ward did last year. You saw how it helped Cam Ward and push him to the top of the draft. I don't see Carson Beck being successful in a Cam Ward offense. Now, if they totally change around the hey, we're going to be a little more run heavy this season, but that's just not Miami. Miami doesn't run the ball traditionally a whole bunch. They usually have their scat backs. They usually have their guys that are going to be able to run out of the backfield catch. They're not going to have the Georgia three-headed monster. One can run through the tackles. One can run outside. One can receive. Like they don't have that at Miami. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just some guy that's going to show up this year from Miami that I've never seen before. Very good team last year, but a lot like Florida State, that will not be the same makeup, same identity, same team that they're going to have this year for Miami. Now, one thing, kind of like, oh my gosh, who was I talking about the other day? I was talking about somebody. Maybe you'll remember when I start going, Freddie. But Notre Dame has set a culture. They've not set a talent based pool. They haven't said, hey, we're going to get these players to be successful for the season. They've built a culture. Marcus Freeman has built a defensive culture that is hard nosed, that is going to hit you in the mouth, and that is going to fight to the very end. You saw it last year in the playoffs at Notre Dame. And that is what, as an Alabama fan, we're not supposed to like Notre Dame Irish people. We're not supposed to like those fans, anything like that. But Notre Dame was a very successful team last year. And it's all because they continually fought from behind. When they got the lead, they controlled the game. They controlled the pace. It wasn't showmanship. It wasn't shiny. And a lot of times it wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. Like they did against Indiana, 27-17. Wasn't a pretty game. Probably should have beat by more. Georgia probably should have beaten by a couple more. But they controlled the game. They worked through it, and they ended up winning some of these games. They ended up losing to Ohio State in the national championship. Of course, just was outmanned. But I'm going to go Notre Dame in this game all the way through. I think Miami's good, but I think at the end of the season, you're going to see, ooh, should we have given them a top 10 rating? I don't think you should. I think they'll end up around the 20s by the end of the season, but I like Notre Dame in this one.
Yeah, man. Notre Dame last year was such a great storyline, as you know. Riley Leonard. I mean, we can go on and on about the storylines last year from Notre Dame, and you're right. They do have a phenomenal culture. They're not one of the top 10 talent teams in the country, but it's because of that culture. They're able to play like a unit, play like a team, exactly like you were talking about. Um, both teams here in Miami and Notre Dame are going to have new starting quarterbacks, as we've already discussed. Riley Leonard is gone from Notre Dame. Cam Ward is gone from Miami. Got C.J. Carr in for Notre Dame, and then, as you mentioned, Chase, the Carson Beck deal from Georgia down there in Miami. Um, Notre Dame is going to have a very, very strong defense again in 2025, very similar to the way they did last year. I think the running game from the running backs themselves is going to be significantly improved from last year. They've got a very talented room. They're very deep. They also have a lot of good wide receivers. Now, this is where can CJ Carr be able to use the wide receivers like the team would want him to, basically. Like, you can have as many good wide receivers as you want to, but if the quarterback cannot get them the ball effectively, it doesn't mean anything, right? So it's going to come down to the quarterback play for me for Notre Dame. Now, when you look at Miami, I am a firm believer in Carson Beck. Carson Beck has two of Georgia's top five seasons as a quarterback under his belt. If you did not know, now yes, he had some very good wide receivers and tight ends to throw to, but hey, so he had two of the top five seasons in all of Georgia history at the quarterback position. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's a very dynamic quarterback, and I think he's going to do extremely well at Miami. I'm one of those guys that is very high on Carson Beck in Miami. Um, One of the biggest problems for Miami, obviously, you mentioned, is the wide receiver room. You lost Isaiah Horton, one of your cornerstones from last year, and a couple of other guys. You did get some transfers in. However, their offensive line is also going to be very it's going to be tough. They have a lot of transfers on the offensive line, too, that they're trying to piece together. Um, but I'm going to go Miami to win this game at home. I'm a Carson Beck believer. I'm hopping on the bandwagon train, if you can call it that. I don't necessarily think it is. There's not a lot of people that really have faith in Carson Beck the way that I do. But give me Miami to win this game at home against the Catholics of Notre Dame. However, it's going to be a very tight football game. I like both of these teams. I think Notre Dame's going to make the playoffs. This might be their only loss of the season. But for this week, give me Miami.
Okay, I'll let you rock with that one on your own, Freddie. I'll go to the last game that we have. Man, sadly, we are coming to the end of our first college football week. Really just talking about some college football, man. It's been so much fun getting on for week 0, week 1 here for 3 bold takes. But the last one we're going to talk about is the TCU Horned Frogs and the North Carolina Tar Heels, man. I'm super excited about that one. It is on September 1st. It is on that Monday at 7 p.m. in Chapel Hill. Bill Belichick's collegiate debut as a college head coach.
Wow.
We are seeing that here in 2025. If you are a time traveler, yep, that does sound weird, and it is true. TCU is favored by 3, over under 56.5. And TCU favored in Bill Belichick's first collegiate debut at home. Freddie?
Yeah, okay. It's going to be very weird to see Bill Belichick coaching in college. Not only that, but just coaching in 2025 in general. We'll just say that much. TCU actually had a very decent season last year, 9-4, a sneaky 9-4, with a bowl win. They won the New Mexico Bowl, I believe it was. But you do return your quarterback. Josh Hoover had a very strong season, almost 4,000 passing yards, 27 touchdowns. They got a lot of playmakers on offense. Very good receiver coming back. The one thing that I think TCU is going to gain this year they did not have last year is they have a very good pass rush coming back in depth in the secondary that were all young last year. And so I think that's going to help them this year. I think they're poised to have a very good 2025 season. But when you look at North Carolina, like you mentioned, Bill Belichick, head coach, Freddie Kitchens, offensive coordinator, believe it or not, and then Stephen Belichick as the defensive coordinator. Their team is just less experienced than TCU. They're a very young team. Obviously, a lot of transfers coming in. One of which is Gio Lopez coming from South Alabama. Wow.
Come on.
Wow. Unbelievable. North Carolina has won 3 of their last 3 season openers. However, new head coach, so a lot different there. Give me TCU to win this game. More experience. I like the quarterback play a lot more. Their defense is going to shine here. I think it's going to be a 10-plus point win. I hope it's a close game, but I think they're going to win by 10-plus points.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this one. If you followed when we were podcast forum, getting into our YouTube forum, I've been a big North Carolina believer for years. I love North Carolina. I think they're a great team, a great school. They've just never really gotten on par as a football school. They had some decent seasons, but never a wow, what a great football team, you know? And it was even more evident last year, and I really had to get off the train. They lost to James Madison at home, 70-50. I mean, you put up 50 points and you still lose a game to a team that was an FCS school less than a year ago. I mean, it was rough. It was rough. So, but and that's what you said, Freddie. TCU, very sneaky season last year. 9 wins. When the season before they had 5. They just had a super national championship hangover after they lost to Georgia, it seemed like, and then they finally kind of got back to, because we were kind of thinking, is it Sonny Dykes kind of a fluke? You know, or is this like what he's supposed to be? They had some easy games at Stanford and Long Island University. If you looked at just the logo of Long Island University, you'd probably be guessing where they were even stationed at, because I have no clue. But I think TCU is a really good team. I think North Carolina is going to be a really fun team as well. I think the only problem is like, how well does Bill Belichick coach at the college level? That's the thing everybody's going to be guessing about. It's going to be all the newspapers, all the media headlines. So I think what you have to look at now is, can North Carolina put it together? Can the transfer portal work for Bill Belichick? Because I'm going to see him as like an even more Dabo Swinney than who Dabo Swinney is at this point. So I think for me, I'm going to go North Carolina.
Oh,
I'm going to pull North Carolina for this one. I'm going to vote on Bill Belichick. I'm going to vote on the people that they have. And hey, Gio Lopez was a solid player for South Alabama last year. Hopefully he can spin it like he did in the Sun Belt as he can in the ACC. I think they can do it very well. And I think this is honestly a very even matchup. I forget what I said what the line was. Like, TCU was favored by 3.
yeah,
I think it was
3.5.
like, that's almost perfect. This is almost a pick'em game, guys. If you watch the Stanford Hawaii game from week 1, this is basically what it is again. It's going to be a very fun game, very close game. You're probably going to see some sloppy ball at points because everybody's trying to figure out how to play. But man, I'm going to go North Carolina in this. I'm going to get back on the train just a little bit and see if they can pull out this week 1 win. If they lose, guys, I'm back off the train. I was never on it in the first place. But hey, I think North Carolina's going to pull it out. So I'm going to go with the unction UNC to pull out the
But
week
I will
1.
say this: I'm going to be cheering for North Carolina. Like, even though I picked TCU to win because I think that's going to happen, I really want Bill Belichick to be successful. I thought it was a good hire. A lot of people thought it was a bad hire, and that Bill Belichick doesn't even really want to coach in college, which could be the case. Like, this could be just a way for him to get back into the pros. But I'm going to be cheering for it. I really, really am.
Yeah, I think that's been my thing. I haven't been a big believer in them so far, just because like he's aging, getting into a college game with a very volatile landscape that it is with the transfer portal. I was just like, how is he going to be successful? He's gotten some good recruits in the transfer portal and stuff. So I'm excited to see what they do, and I think they can do it pretty well. But guys, we've done 36 games. 36 games
Wow.
between week 0 and week 1. We've picked them all. For the first week 0, Quinn went a perfect 5 for 5. Me and Freddie both had 3 wins, but we'll keep up with you guys all the way through. We'll be doing picks every week. We'll get more into the form of top 25 matchups, fun matchups that the media is talking about that we get to talk about, and maybe even some of those really fun ones that, Duquesne's playing VMI. We might get into those if you like that.
Hey, Elon and Duke.
There you go. We might pull out one of those every once in a while. So stay tuned to us all season long. We're super excited to have you here. If you followed us, if you liked us, whatever it is, keep coming back. We have fun content like this. Leave us comments who we should do, who we shouldn't do, what we should do next, more stuff you guys want to see, whatever it is. But for 3 bold takes, Freddie, Chase, and Quinn, who cannot be here today, we thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe on the way out.